Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a list of some non-fiction books that I'm hoping to get around to in 2021. As much as I love fantasy, I do want to occasionally mix some non-fiction into my reading next year. It's one of my goals that I have for myself. I'm still going to be reading lots of fantasy, but I do think that it would be good to try and get in a non-fiction either once a month or once every other month. So I have listed 12 nonfiction books that I'm hoping to read, and the way I'm going to try to prioritize these is based off of the ones that you guys all want me to read the most. So I'm interested in all of these, but I also know I might not be able to get to them. So if there's one that stands out to you in particular, just write the title of that book in your comment, because I can search which ones come up the most often, and then I can try to make sure that I'm getting to the ones that you want me to read. Before getting into the list though, a shout out to today's sponsor, which would be glassesusa.com. I am doing another giveaway with them, so to enter, just make sure that your comment has, like I said, the nonfiction book that you would like me to read from this list the most, as well as the glasses emoji. And then that's it. That's all you have to do to enter. And I get asked quite a bit, does glassesusa.com only sell frames, or do they also sell your prescription lenses? They do both. So the winner will get a pair of prescription glasses. I did this last month. It was seamless. The winner got their pair very quickly. So you'll enter, and then I'll announce the winner on my community tab in 1 week. So make sure to check back in a week and see if you're the one who wins. If you don't know much about glassesusa.com, the idea is they take the middleman out of the equation. They're also great right now because so many of us aren't really going out. So if you know your prescription, you don't have to go try on glasses, because glassesusa.com goes straight to you at a more affordable price. You have a virtual try on, so you can just click on glasses and see what they would look like on you. I was always really hesitant to try this because I was like, oh man, I don't want to waste money and then have them look terrible. But they also have a great return policy, so even if it doesn't work out, you can get a different pair. But honestly, the try-on feature has always rung true for me. They always look like how they look in the try-on. I have used their service since before I was working with them. I get all my glasses from them now, and this particular pair that I'm wearing, I've been wearing them a lot recently. It reminds me a little bit, I have a pair of Ray-Bans, and my Ray-Bans are a similar shape. They're round and gold. I wear those a lot too. But this one's fun because the frames themselves here around the lens are kind of a white gray color, and then the sides are gold, and then the legs at the end have that gray again. So I just feel like they're both more casual and a little more fun, a little more bold than the Ray-Bans that I have that you see me in a lot. Those ones are just kind of a gold color, which I also love those as well. But those that have a little bit more shine, this one has a little bit of a matte finish around here, but a little bit of something fun on the side since you've got the gold there. So I love this particular pair, but I'll have my other pairs linked that I wear a lot. But anyway, jumping into the nonfiction TBR now, the first one on the list would be Personality Isn't Permanent. And this actually seems very applicable, I think, for a lot of us. So the concept for this book is that it examines the fact that so many of us spend so much time defining ourselves by our personality types. We kind of analyze our tendencies, but then the problem is sometimes we don't allow ourselves to grow outside of those and change, and we start to hold ourselves in confinement essentially because we think, well, but this is how I am, and it can kind of hinder your productivity. It can hinder your happiness because you end up thinking I am this way, except for you're not really anymore and you're changing. And so I think that this would be fantastic because online a lot of times we do fun like personality tests and quizzes, and a lot of times if you're on BookTube also, or just in general if you have your own channel, your own account online in some fashion, there's a lot of tags where you have to answer questions, and a lot of times even in work settings you have to define yourself and list the things that you are and are not good at. And I think that is helpful, and it can be helpful for productivity. But I do find myself thinking I am one way, and then I'm like, but am I though? Because I feel like I'm changing, but I've always been this way. So I think it would be a really interesting way to reflect on this. And I think for people that have more traditional work settings, it'll also be helpful in redefining what works for you in a work setting, as well also as just being productive at typical things like your day-to-day schedule, running errands, doing laundry, those sorts of things. Not all of the books on this list are going to have the same theme, but the next one is called Atomic Habits, and this one is supposed to help you figure out how to have specific habits that make you a better person all around and to utilize your time better and how to stick with that. And I think this last year, one, was so drastically different for most of us than our usual schedules, but for me, it was very, very extreme in so many ways. My life is completely flipped upside down, and I feel like this is a good opportunity. One, we're coming to the end of the year. We're going to be starting a new year soon. So I feel like this would be a great one to read around the beginning of the year because you get the whole fresh starts. People are setting goals for themselves. But also, I just feel like with how crazy this year has been, this will be just perfect timing to try and kind of set myself up for success. Next on the list is one that is very, very different from the previous two, and that would be Evicted. This is one that my husband read and found very enlightening. It touches on different people who have been evicted. There is somebody who essentially follows them around and then writes the situation, and he is seeing how people throughout America with very different circumstances end up evicted. And there's a lot of really shady things that occur that lead to people being evicted. It also shows how important it is to have empathy for people and how there are some people that you can do everything right and life just doesn't treat you very well. So I think that this would be extremely helpful to, in general, gain more empathy, to see the world in a different way, and to also understand how different laws affect housing, affect people, affect their ability to provide for their children, because shelter, that's one of the few basic needs of a person. And so I think this seems very powerful. I really want to get around to this one. Next up, we have Caste. This is also one that is a little bit more serious, less about one's self and more about reflecting on society. And the setup for this book, I feel weird saying setup because I feel like that's what you say for a fiction book. Is it weird to say that for nonfiction? But either way, the idea behind this book is that it's reflecting on the fact that while we don't have set caste system in place in America, we basically have an unnamed caste system. Next two books I'm going to group together because if I read one, I'm going to read the other as well, and that would be White Rage and White Fragility. These two books are examining racial tension and why there's such a knee-jerk reaction to get so defensive when having difficult conversations about race. And I think that it's just so tied in to politics and to identity. And so instinctively, people have very strong reactions and emotions when having these conversations. And so these books are encouraging people to have empathy, to hear other people's perspectives, and to do so without feeling the need to basically get angry at that sort of a thing. The next one on the list is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and both Read with Cindy gave us a lot of praise, and then Jade from Bedtime Bookworm also really, really enjoyed this, and I'm like, okay, well, that's two people that I watched who both really loved this book and were very impressed by it, and it's just basically about therapy and how a lot of us are wounded or traumatized in some fashion, and just how it's important to reflect on that. I believe the author themselves is a therapist, and so they take you through different individuals and the therapy that those individuals are getting. I think this is it would be very helpful for me. I have gone through some things in my own life that it's taken a lot of time for me to even be able to apply the words to those things. And I wasn't even until this year that I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, I think I'm traumatized from my childhood. And he was like, I think that's true. And it's just crazy that it's taken until I'm 27 to be able to have that word attached to certain events in my life. And so I think it's just, I don't know, something about how I've grown up to be expressive about very deep things that have taken place in my own life, I think is something I just have an instinct to kind of be like, hi guys, hello, and be nice and optimistic and happy and just keep on going. And I think sometimes I don't do a very good job in my own life sitting back and understanding my own feelings, basically. So I think that this book might be helpful in doing that. Next one on the list would be Just Mercy, and this has to do with just a lot of issues with the justice system in general, which I feel like is something that I would like to definitely know much more about. I also think it's going to be a book that, if this is one of the ones I get around to, I think it's going to make me very angry. There's just so many issues. There's just so many issues in the world. I think that's part of what scares me about like picking up nonfiction books is I want to learn more, and at the same time will feel so helpless that I can't make the world better. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't inform myself and make attempts at making the world better. So Just Mercy, I'm like nervous and scared. I mean, the Evicted one, same thing. A lot of these I feel like they're the kinds of things that you don't want to confront, but you should. And that's why I think Just Mercy is important, and I have it on the list. The next one on the list would be Born a Crime. A lot of the books on this list are more specific to America, whereas this one is talking about issues to Trevor Noah and his upbringing, and he's kind of shedding light on some of what he experienced from where he grew up. I have very little knowledge on his situation, but I've heard, regardless, however you feel about him as a celebrity figure, that this book is very enlightening and it's great for understanding the issues that where he comes from have. And also it provides a different perspective when you hear about how things are somewhere else. It provides a little bit of a different perspective for where you live. Next on the list would be Educated. This is a memoir from a woman who grew up not with a very traditional upbringing and went on to really make something for herself, but she had a lot of barriers in the way. I've heard fantastic things about this one. And also, every single time I would go to my local used bookstore, it was always right at the front. It was just calling to me. So I was like, all right, I feel like I finally got to get around to this one. Next up, we have Why We Sleep. I didn't think I would be ever interested in reading a book about sleeping. I definitely don't sleep well, and I feel like I have a little bit of insomnia. My husband can fall asleep like it's nothing, and I'm so jealous. Are you guys do you fall asleep easily, or are you people that just lay awake and think and think and think and think, and then you can't fall asleep no matter how tired you are? Because that's definitely me. But this particular book is supposed to show you why sleeping is so important. I swear, if I had a superpower, guys, I think I would choose to never have to sleep. Can you imagine how much you could get done if you didn't have to sleep? Unless I'm depressed, in which case I want to go to sleep and then I never want to wake up. But when I'm not depressed, I just want to never have to sleep so that I can just always do all the things I want to do. I mean, isn't that every bookworm's dream, right? Because we're always like, so many books, not enough time, or whatever we always say. But I feel like if you didn't have to sleep, you know. But anyway, this book is supposed to tell you why sleeping's important. Last on the list, we have Thinking Fast and Slow. This particular one is supposed to be showing you the ways in which we use quick thinking and then slower, more thoughtful thinking in order to make decisions, and how I think in this one, it's showing how corporations utilize different ways of thinking to make decisions that end up having huge lasting effects, not just for the corporation, but because corporations affect a lot of people's daily lives. I feel like this book might be too smart for me. But I still am interested in the concept. I like stuff that has to do with, in case you couldn't tell, being productive and understanding how we think and our personalities and the habits that we form and things like that. So I do want to get around to this one, but also I'm a little intimidated by it. That's it for some nonfiction I would like to read in 2021. Don't forget to comment if you want to enter the giveaway with the book that you would like me to read the most, as well as the glasses emoji. GlassesUSA.com will be linked down below. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.